Alright, so we have the speakers installed, but we do have a major problem right now. It's something that I didn't expect. Let me show you. So the speakers are installed. So it looks like this, which is really great. So I'm going to stand over here and point the mic towards the wall. Now I'm going to talk and I'm going to make some noises. I don't know if you can hear that, but that's a nasty flutter echo. It's a very short flutter echo, so that's good. But what we think is causing it is this panel in the center. So we've got a center panel and of course 2 side panels with the speakers in there. The center panel is exactly parallel to that wall. Now that wall is still untreated, and what we hope is that we can treat that wall and that way reduce the flutter. Now this wall is treated with filt on it, filt. I don't know what the name is. And we want to have this wall solid because that gives the best, as far as I know, the best bass extension. Now I'm not really qualified to talk about acoustics and speaker design. Leonard understands those ways way better than I do. So this is just my interpretation. But as far as I know, it's just better to have that centerpiece solid. And I just really hope that I can fix it by putting some absorption over there. Reason why that wall is still untreated is because we were expecting to get into problems like this. And honestly, it's going really well. Everything is going to plan until now. But that wall needs to have bass traps and, well, apparently also some other acoustic treatment, and we just wanted to know that. So that's why we're building it like this. Like, we know we need soft wall over here, soft wall over there. The back wall was still like, I think we just did some wishful thinking that we expected that we didn't need any like wool treatment on the back wall, but that's, I mean, let's be honest, that's just wishful thinking. So I've been doing this work for 2.5 weeks now. It's really exhausting, and like, it's so interesting how I want to keep the tempo high, because, you know, I've at first was expecting this to take 2 weeks or something, but now we're 2.5 weeks in and it's still pretty far from done. So we need to keep the tempo high, the pace high, and that's really exhausting, but the result is going to be awesome. Like every single piece, as soon as something fits together, it's just so satisfying and so addicting. So yeah, coffee, really important stuff. Alright, so instead of testing out what to do about the flutter, we started the flooring, and we're now halfway. A little bit more than halfway through it, so that's good. Leonard's coming back again tomorrow to tackle the flutter and to tackle the bass traps, which would be a very interesting separate video as well.
Okay, today we're gonna try the acoustic issues we had to solve them. And there's a few possibilities in this case. And what we will try is placing some microphones at different positions in the room, starting from no acoustic treatment, going to like normal acoustic treatment with thin materials you can find at any store, and going more and more up to the specialized treatments. And we will make measurements from there on. What will it do at different frequencies? Is it enough in the usable size that you can fit over here, since there has to be some room for a tape machine, analog equipment and all. So we will find out what will be the best solution. Right, so now at the mixing position, we have this measurement mic, and now with the acoustic treatment, we try to find a response that's more even across the whole range.
Choosing the treatment isn't only measuring, it's also listening. And what is important here is to listen to the acoustics and not get distracted by the speakers, which in this stage aren't calibrated yet. We did a lot of measuring and really deciding what we're going to do with the back wall. And the back wall is actually going to be a staged design. So this is kind of the idea that we want to do. We want to use a few of these, what are they called? They are from anechoic rooms. We want to use a few of these to reduce the flutter. And we are going to use a lot of, well, old-fashioned resonant bass absorbers, bass traps, in order to tackle the bass. Now, that's the first stage of the design, and that's going to be the design for now. Leonard, in the meantime, is working on bass traps with a completely new design. It should take up less space and all that kind of stuff, but it's not ready yet. And he really wants to develop it to perfection. So that's why we're going to go with this first, then swap it out for Leonard's bass traps, and then see if there's any difference or not. And if there's a lot of difference, we're keeping the Leonard traps, of course. New day, new Monday. Today we're building the desk. And we're building the desk from these things. These are extrusion profiles. And they're normally used for CNC machines. We're building the desk from this because it's very solid. And it also doesn't take up a lot of space. Normally with desks you have a lot of big panels and stuff in there that are all problems from an acoustic perspective. And when using this, it's way more open. I don't know if it makes a difference, but at least we try to make a difference. So this is what the desk is going to be. 3 buckets of Neumann, rack mount stuff, and another 3 buckets of Neumann. You have to imagine that right now. We're now measuring everything, if everything is at the correct spot and everything fits together. And it looks way better than I expected, so that's a thing. Today we're doing all the stuff that needs to be fitted in the wall. It's easiest to access it right now. One of the things that I didn't anticipate on was having an extra strips in front of here. So everything you need to fit in here, it's all like Tetris. Like you have to really find a way to mount it in there. And that takes up more time than expected. But this rack is almost done. Or actually, it is done. The second rack, the rack on the left side, right now empty, but this is going to be the amplifier rack, the speaker rack. So the processor is going to be in there, 2 different amplifiers, and an impedance correction box, which Leonard can explain better than I.
In addition to the time corrections in the digital domain, we also correct for the impedances of the loudspeakers. Traditionally, there's either an active or a passive crossover approach. In this case, the speakers are actively crossed and individually amped, but also passively corrected for their electrical behavior. This results in a less reactive load for the amps and ultimately a better balanced way of driving the speakers.
It's gear day! It's gear day! So we're going to put in the Neumann, we're going to put in the 19-inch stuff, and maybe also the racks and that kind of stuff. Computer works again. So studio is done. I wish it was, but got almost all the gear in there. The tape machine is not in here yet, but all the other racks are in here. Gear is in here. Put a few things already in the desk. We put the Neumann in the desk, and that looks really great how it's built in right now. So huge thanks to Jelle for designing this desk like this. And yeah, from here it's really cabling. A lot of cabling to do. I really want to take my time to decide on how to cable the studio. There are a lot of analog lines running through the studio, and I want to make it as ergonomic as possible. Now this might sound a little bit strange. I mean, what can you make ergonomic about a patch panel? As long as all the lines are on the patch panel, it's okay, right? And yeah, that's true, but the thing with this patch panel is it's a normaling patch panel. So I can put these blocks in there, and that basically connects the top with the bottom. And I want to create a setup that, when normaled, already works pretty well. And a setup that is also like easy to patch with like the patch points at the correct point. If I would make a patch point at every single point that I could patch something, then I need like 6 more patch panels. So we're not going to do that. So I have to decide like where are my patch points and how am I going to cable it that it's ergonomic and easy as soon as I want to change my patch. A good example is, for instance, tape machine. The tape machine. Think about it, like 24 channels. So that's 48 patch cables, like in and out. I do have a relay box to switch it in there. But the way that I patched it in the old setup is not the way that I want to patch it right now. In the old setup, the output of the tape machine went directly to the DAW. And there was no patch point in between. I couldn't do anything after the tape machine. And it turns out that I want to do that right now. So those are all decisions and all things to think about. And with like cabling like this, I rather think about it a little bit longer and then only cable it once than, you know, quickly put all the cables in here and then decide that you want to do it differently and then doing it again. Like, that will take up more time. Another thing that I want to do in the cabling is future proofing. So that means that the cables that are going to the racks will have more channels in there than needed right now. And that makes it really easy that when I get new equipment, I can't afford any equipment anymore after this build. But as soon as I can, like, it's just putting the gear in the rack, connecting it, and I can use it. Like, there's all of those things. And that's just the beginning of the list of like requirements that I have to like the analog cabling in my studio. So a lot of work on the cabling side, and the cabling work is crossing over into the point at which I'm doing client projects again. The basic cabling is already done and I can do a lot of projects already. And now it's just all the extras are slowly being cabled. So yeah. So today I'm building panels that will be covered with fabric so that everything will look a little bit nicer. So the last few days I've been working on the back wall and the whole situation there. And we've decided to put a lot of different sized bass straps on there. So now it looks like this. They are of course all going to be covered in fabric, but we don't have time to do that right now, so it's functional now. Leonard is coming back tomorrow to do all the measurement stuff, or not measurement, it's more creating the whole signal path and the whole DSP and that kind of stuff. But we're putting them there right now so that he gets the correct measurements, and then later we can just, you know, get them off here. I've made a very cool mounting solution. We can just cover them in fabric and put them back. So yeah, this was more work than I thought, but that's with everything with the studio build. So the speakers are not only calibrated to the room that they are in, but also to my own preference. One of the cool things that we are going to do is evaluate, after a few months of mixing and mastering, and if necessary, adjust the speaker presets so that they will translate even better. So that's it for the studio build video. I am really happy with how it has turned out, and next week I'm planning on doing a full studio tour video so that I can show all the ins and outs of, well, what it has become. And I'm also planning on doing a live stream the week after that to answer all of your questions on the fly, on the air, live. But I'm only going to do that if I can get it to work. Now, before I'm going to end this video, I want to publicly thank a few people. Lennart, Theo, Krijn, George, Mauro, Joep, Jelle, Han, my mom, my dad, and Laura, my girlfriend. I want to thank them all so much for helping in their own way with my studio and, building it. And you all know who you are and what you did. And without all of you, I couldn't have done this. And the last people to thank are the viewers, because they have also made this dream possible. Without YouTube, it would have taken me, 8 more years to get to this stage. And one of the things that I've learned about YouTube is that it's all about one thing, and that is the viewers. So I hope that I can use this new studio to make a lot of new, fresh, exciting content in the future. And with that being said, thanks a lot for watching. I see you all next week. Keep pushing, and bye bye.